The pioneer of the absolute advantage trade theory was the Scottish economist Adam Smith, who introduced it in his seminal work The Wealth of Nations in 1776. Here's an intuitive explanation of the theory. Core idea. Imagine two countries, Alpha and Beta, that can both produce wheat and cloths. Adam Smith's absolute advantage theory suggests that trade is beneficial when each country is more efficient than the other in producing a particular good. In other words, one country can produce a good using fewer resources, like labor, time, or capital, than the other country. Think of it like this. If Alpha is really good at growing wheat, maybe they have fertile land and advanced farming techniques, and Beta is really good at making cloth. Maybe they have skilled weavers and efficient textile factories, then it makes sense for Alpha to focus on producing wheat and Beta to focus on producing cloth. By specializing in what they are best at, they can both produce more of their respective goods with the same amount of effort. Then, by trading with each other, both countries can enjoy more wheat and more cloth than if they tried to produce everything themselves. Essentially, the theory argues that countries should specialize in producing the goods for which they have an absolute advantage, and then trade these goods with other countries that have an absolute advantage in producing different goods. Key features. Focus on absolute efficiency. The theory centers on the ability of a country to produce a good using fewer resources per unit than another country. Winner-winner scenario. Trade is seen as mutually beneficial when each trading partner is absolutely better at producing something different. Specialization. Countries should specialize in the production of goods where they hold an absolute advantage. Increased global output. Specialization based on absolute advantage leads to higher overall global production because resources are used more efficiently. Mutual gains from trade. Through trade, each country can consume more of both goods than they could produce on their own. Simple and intuitive. It's a straightforward concept that highlights the benefits of doing what you do best and exchanging it for what others do best. Examples. Country A, absolute advantage in wheat, can produce 10 tons of wheat with 10 units of labor. Country B, absolute advantage in cloths, can produce 20 bolts of cloth with 10 units of labor. In this case, country A is more efficient in wheat production, lower labor cost per ton, and country B is more efficient in cloth production, lower labor cost per bolt. According to absolute advantage theory, country A should specialize in wheat, and country B should specialize in cloth. By trading, country A can obtain cloth more efficiently than producing it themselves, and country B can obtain wheat more efficiently than growing it themselves. Real-world simplified examples. Saudi Arabia and electronics. Saudi Arabia has an absolute advantage in crude oil production due to its vast reserves and low extraction costs. South Korea might have an absolute advantage in producing sophisticated electronics due to its advanced technology and skilled workforce. Trade allows Saudi Arabia to access electronics more cheaply than if they try to build that industry from scratch. And South Korea can access oil more cheaply than if they had to rely solely on their own limited reserves. Tropical fruits and temperate grains. A country with a tropical climate might have an absolute advantage in growing bananas and mangoes, while a country with a temperate climate might have an absolute advantage in growing wheat and barley due to natural resource endowments. Trade allows consumers in both regions to enjoy a wider variety of food at potentially lower costs. In summary, the absolute advantage theory, pioneered by Adam Smith, provides a foundational understanding of international trade by suggesting that countries gain from specializing in and exporting goods they can produce more efficiently than other countries, while importing goods that other countries can produce more efficiently. It's a straightforward idea emphasizing doing what you do best and trading for the rest. However, it's important to note that this theory doesn't fully explain trade patterns when one country has an absolute advantage in producing all goods, which is where Ricardo's theory of comparative advantage becomes crucial.